These horses have been in my family for over 300 years. We were lucky enough to have one of them gifted to one of my ancestors, and then through the generations, we've always managed to keep some of the horses in our family. I am Gabriella Herrmann, owner of the Herrmann's Royal Lipizzaner Stallions. We are showing these horses down here in Florida. This is our farm, and we are now in our winter season. We open our farm December through the first weekend of May to the public to come and visit.
My name is Carmin Herrmann Stiles. I'm a niece of Colonel Audemars and the granddaughter of the original Colonel Audemars Herrmann. We are the original that came over with the stallions. There are several other breeders. There is another show that goes around as well. We have the family tie that goes back to these horses. It's our legacy.
We were lucky enough to have one of them gifted to one of my ancestors, and then through the generations, we've always managed to keep some of the horses in our family. These horses were very special. They were only used for kings and queens. The public knew about the stallions, but they weren't allowed to see them. And it wasn't until after the Second World War, when General Patton saved these horses, that they were exposed to the public. He was the man that said these horses need to be shown to the public. So the Herrmann family, after years of trying, came over here to the US in the 60s, and we started showing these stallions to the public. And so now there are other traveling shows that show the Lipizzaners, but we, the Herrmann family, were the first ones to bring them over to show them to the public, and that is the difference between the other traveling shows. Ours has the Herrmanns on it. The history, these horses were originally bred as war horses. Any horse can do this, but what happened was their bone structure could not hold up to the pressures of the leaps. So that's why they created the Lipizzaner. The Lipizzaner has a stronger bone structure. He has a longer lifespan than most horses. He matures later. That's the uniqueness and the beauty of what we do. We're allowed to play with our horses. Our horses can be youngsters for a long time, but they give us a long lifespan, and they reward us, and then people will ask us, well, when do you retire them? We've had them in here as long as 30 years old actually performing, and they let us know. It's a very hard call to retire them, so they tell us. And then because of their reward being with us, they never leave our farm. They stay here till the end of their days. One of the things that I found with them is I was raised with them, trained them, but when my father was alive, he was the alpha in the barn. My father could walk into the barn and every one of these horses would bring their heads up and nicker and talk to him. Well, when he passed, they mourned the same way we all mourned. They knew he was missing. And it took me, personally, 2 years for them to gift that to me, for me to become the alpha. They knew I was their leader, but it was not the same as my father. And then 2 years later, and everybody asked me, well, how do you know? I can't say how I felt it, but I walked into the barn and they gave themselves to me. And that was quite a reward. That was quite special. It really, and even now, you know, now they look to me as their alpha. And my girls that work with them, if you watch them train and you listen to them and watch them, you just watch their ears and their eyes, and they're constantly listening for it.
The training regimen has been handed down to our family for over 300 years. People think that we really school on these horses a long time, and it's very short increments of schooling. Everything is a natural equine behavior. Everything is natural to these horses. The only thing that we do is we put the maneuver to a cue. Just like when you see the dolphins and the whales in their shows, they're natural behaviors that are just trained to go on a cue. And that's what we do through a reward system. We always say, welcome to the softer side of training, because it's not a force, it's a praise. And like women, we do much better with words of encouragement opposed to being told you have to do something. It's the same with the horses. If you're constantly telling them that they have to do it this way, they have to do it, pretty soon it's no fun for them. You can tell with our stallions that they truly enjoy what they do, and it's because of the verbal, emotional praise as far as the treat. We do treat them, but attaboy on the neck is just as good as a piece of sugar. So we always encourage them to perform, and they do it because they truly want to please us. And you can see when we do maneuvers, they'll look at us like, oh, was that the right thing? And that's the secret behind our training, is just putting the natural behavior to a physical cue.
That was very good. You want sugar? Of course.
We try to keep everything as traditional as we can. We've upbeated our music, you know, we've changed with the times, but the tradition and the training and the techniques are still over 300 years old. The most satisfying thing with these horses is the bond. I would have to say it's the bond. You create such a bond with these stallions. And when you look in the audience and you see the kids with the gleaming eyes and the old people who remembered being at the war and helping to rescue these horses. I mean, every day there's so many rewards. It's hard to say what the best one is, but I would say the bond that we have with our horses is probably the truly the best. If you love horses, if you love animals, if you have a respect for history, you need to come see these horses.
A salute to our audience.